today. Thank you all again for joining. My name is Jocelyn. I'm the outreach coordinator at Wings. Feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself with your names and pronouns and where you're calling in from. And this is officially the virtual CSA-SAM kickoff. Woo! Really excited to be here. All right, so feel free to mute yourself as well before we jump right in. All right, so in just a moment, we're going to start off the program with an opening meditation. But before we do that, we'd like to bring some context to the cause with the history of Wings and CSA-SAM. Afterwards, we'll read the governor's proclamation, and then we'll have an overview of CSA-SAM activities. Then we'll conclude with intentions for CSA-SAM with the Wings team. And let's see, just looking at my notes here. All right, so I'm going to read a land acknowledgement and action before we jump into the logistics section. To get started, Wings would like to acknowledge with respect that the land we are on today, called Colorado, is unceded territory of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native tribes, including the Lakota, Ute, Kiowa, Comanche, Apache, Shoshone, and others. Wings wishes to take this moment to acknowledge the violence and genocide that was enacted against these communities and the impacts that these have had on Indigenous peoples who were here before us and the generations of their ancestors who carry their legacies forward, as well as those whose lives were lost. We also want to pause and reflect and honor the lives of survivors of violence that occurred at Indian boarding schools, specifically which often included physical and sexual abuse, as well as the loss of Native culture and practices. We celebrate Indigenous survivors, healers, and leaders who bring their resilience and wisdom forward in these times. To support their good work and move beyond land acknowledgement, Wings is making a donation to the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition in honor of CSA-SAM and Native survivors of CSA or child sexual abuse. We encourage you to consider ways that you can take action to support a collective accountability and healing from these harms and the consciousness that it created. In the chat, we're going to put in a link to the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition in case you'd like to learn more. Thank you so much. Now some logistics. Like I mentioned in the beginning, and I'm sure when you came into the call, you noticed that we're recording this. We're going to be posting this program as a resource on our website and social media. If you have any concerns about this, please feel free to reach out to us after the call. Again, we ask that you mute yourselves. And if you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat. If you're joining by phone, please email your questions to events@wingsfound.org. If you'd like to have closed captioning turned on, at the bottom of the bar, there's a closed captioning button. You can click that and it should show closed captioning in English. In the participant list, we also invite you to have your name on there as well as your pronoun. This helps us keep track of who all is on the call. Feel free to say hi in the chat. And if you're needing tech support, feel free to message Becky Harrison in the Zoom chat. All right, so now after all of those logistics, I'm going to pass it over for grounding meditation with Sarah Eisenbud, our clinical manager for group services. Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. So excited to be here with all of you and see your faces popping through. Yeah, I'm Sarah Eisenbud, she, her, and so excited to be kicking off this month with all of you. So just as we get started, we're going to do a little bit of grounding together. Note that these are all invitations. If any of the invitations don't feel right, if any of the places you're invited to put your focus aren't a fit for this moment or triggering in some way, just follow your own wisdom, ground in whatever way feels right to you. So you're welcome to turn off your cameras if that feels good to go into an inside space, or if you'd like to leave them on and look into each other's faces, that's just fine as well. I'll leave mine on for now. And so for the first step of this little moment grounding, I'd like us all to just take a moment and decide to be here, to be in this moment right now. Maybe taking a moment to set aside any of the urgencies or worries, concerns about getting here, different logistics. Just knowing that for the next few minutes, we can set all of that down and be here in this moment together. You might just want to start noticing where you are. If you're sitting, what does your seat feel like? Does the air have a certain texture or temperature where you are? Is there a smell in the space that you're in? Yeah. Do you see anything if your eyes are open? Is there a taste in your mouth? Just taking a moment to root into this moment in time. And as you do that, you might begin to settle in and connect to your body. You could invite a little bit of wiggling into your seat. Maybe you decide you'd like to push your chair to the side and be standing for the rest of this grounding time, feeling your feet connect to the earth. You might decide to invite a little bit of movement into your body. You might wiggle your fingers a little bit, scrunch up your toes and release them. You might feel like your head wants a little movement, a little side to side, a little shaking yes, a little nodding no. Maybe your shoulders would like to have some movement, a roll to the back, maybe a roll to the front, or just visiting your ears for a moment before settling down again. If there's any other movement your body wants, maybe asking and taking it, a little slide to slide. Yeah. As you let go of some of that movement, you might notice your breath. When noticing the breath, focus on what feels safe for you. Breath can be a resource. It can also be activating. So you could notice the sensation as the air enters your nose, the feeling of your chest rising, the feeling of your belly moving, an expansion or contraction anywhere in your system. Just taking a moment to connect to that if it feels safe. Maybe noticing the way the breath changes parts of your body. How does your breath feel in your toes? How does your breath feel in your cheeks? Maybe allowing the breath to help you let go of any tension that you're holding, any little crinkles near your eyes. Allowing the breath to help you release a clenched jaw. Letting go of arms or hands that are holding tension from the day. As you find yourself in that space connected to your body and perhaps your breath, you might begin searching your body for a sense of hope. Is there a place where hope lives in your body? Feel it in your core, up in your head somewhere, your chest, your lower extremities, your wrists. Just giving a search for any sensation of hope that's living in your body. And if you found it, that's wonderful. And if not, that's okay. You can just focus on a place in your body that might be wanting some attention. Once you've found this place, you might focus on the sensation of it, the color, the feeling. And as you're here inside of this space of hope, perhaps you'd like to find words that represent a specific hope you have for adult survivors of CSA during this month of awareness that we're entering. Taking a moment to find a phrase, a word, a wish. And allowing yourself to repeat that and feel it in this place in your body. And allowing your breath to help you send it out into the world. And knowing that you can come back to this sense of hope throughout the month to visit and explore the way your body is holding this monumental work that we're all doing together. And in whatever time it takes you, you might begin to come back into the space, blinking your eyes open gently before opening them if your eyes are closed, finding some of those wiggles and that movement again. When you're feeling ready to join the rest of this kickoff event, you might like to turn your camera on to let us all know you're ready.
Thank you, Sarah. That was really great. Um, I think a word that came up for me when we were going through that was story. And so I'm really, yeah, feeling very hopeful, very inspired, and very grateful. Moving on to the next part of our program, we're actually going to go through our story at Wings. Um, let me see my notes, sorry. um, so now I'd like to introduce Jenny Stith, the Executive Director of Wings, to share a little bit more about our history and why CSA-SAM, as well as an acknowledgement for our community.
Thank you, Jocelyn, and thank you, Sarah, that lovely invitation to be here with ourselves and with each other. My name is Jenny Stith, and I'm honored to serve as Executive Director of Wings. I'm joining you from Denver. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm just really honored to work with this great group of people. And I'm also honored to share a bit of history about our organization and about this Awareness Month and why this month and why our cause is so important. So, and we're going to show you just a few pictures as well of some of the journey. And I always say that we stand on the shoulders of giants who have helped bring this issue of childhood sexual abuse and intrafamilial sexual abuse or incest and the impacts of these experiences to the lives of adult survivors into our cultural understanding. More recently, we are also enhancing our understanding of the historical cultural violence that contributes to this problem in such high numbers. So in recognizing this history, we can bring more understanding and action to our present and our future efforts together. This shared knowledge and activated shared power is essential to turning the tides of silence and invisibility that adult survivors are facing today. So let's go back to the beginning. Wings was founded by survivors for survivors in 1982. Our clinical founder is Nancy Burrow-Sturtle, and first executive director is Mary Shannon. And you can see both of them featured here in the bottom of the slide. A brave group of fellow survivors joined Nancy and Mary in establishing Wings as women incested needing group support. And we acknowledge at Wings that incest is an especially difficult experience of childhood sexual abuse because more often than not, family members are not supportive of this truth coming forward. These early survivors could not find healing in traditional places. So they sought to help each other heal and to be there for other survivors. These early efforts were entirely volunteer driven for several years at Wings. In 1993, the organization realized that, hey, men need support as well. And while a large part of childhood sexual abuse does happen within the family, there are experiences of abuse, other experiences, which are also hard to navigate. So our organization dropped the acronym, yet kept the name WINGS and the symbol of a bird in flight, and welcomed men into our services. We know it's a courageous path that male survivors walk. In 2000, WINGS support groups, which were entirely peer-driven, added a therapist facilitator component to hold safe space for adult survivors, many of whom, as you all on the call well know, are healing from complex developmental trauma and benefit from that additional facilitator support. In 2012, WINGS began serving survivors from the LGBTQIA+ community more intentionally and began specialty groups such as our writing group and our Speak Out program. Now, throughout this entire time, many courageous volunteers and staff members shepherded WINGS services forward within our broader culture, which has continued to deny and minimize the need for our services. Pushing against that cultural denial has not been an easy task. We wish to honor and thank each person who has been and continues to be part of taking it on. It has seemed that those of us who are close to this issue understand its importance because we've had to. But in wider culture, this issue seems to only get attention when high-profile cases hit the media, like in the early 2000s and later with abuse by Catholic priests, or in 2011 with Jerry Sandusky's abuse at Penn State, or in 2017 with abuse by Larry Nassar of members of the U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics team. Of course, these experiences are so worthy of attention. Yet when the news stories are over, the daily needs and experiences of adult survivors often go unseen, unheard, and unresponded to. We need a consistent focus. So in September of 2014, WINGS established Childhood Sexual Abuse Survivor Awareness Month to elevate the needs of adult survivors. We so love participating in April's Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month, yet we know that adult survivors face unique challenges that require distinct interventions. So we need and deserve a month focused on these. We have so been honored to have the Colorado Governor's Office recognize this truth. So around that same time, volunteers of WINGS established our first Race for Healing 5K, bringing our community together around the shared resilience we create by stepping forward on this issue together. We've loved the connection and community we've celebrated together and look forward to seeing how the race evolves going forward. Over the last many years, the legacy of hope and healing begun by WINGS founders and who I call torchbearers continued as we increased advocacy efforts at the state level in Colorado. We were guided forward by the dignity and bravery of Marilyn Vanderbilt Atler and Larry Atler, who supported many of our fundraising and advocacy efforts and modeled how to champion this message to those who need to hear it. Of course, you know that when Marilyn told her story in the early 90s, it was a watershed moment, giving so many others the permission to honor their own truths too. And by the way, Marilyn, we're so honored that you're with us today on the call. In 2016, WINGS created our first mission video, viewed now by more than 40,000 people, and drafted a position paper called Supporting the 9 and 10 Who Did Not Report in Childhood, which postulated a significant gap in services for adult survivors. We actually hosted a congressional briefing in Washington, D.C. in conjunction with the National Victims' Rights Caucus on the same topic. Attendees included folks from the Office for Victims of Crime and RAINN, including other organizations. Also that year, we partnered with the Colorado School of Public Health on the One Voice Project, which was a community needs assessment examining access to care challenges and opportunities for adult survivors here in Colorado. We learned what we had seen over all these many years of serving adult survivors, that huge barriers do exist for these individuals when they reach out for support. Highlighted in the findings were a great need for awareness of this issue, training for providers, long-term specialized services that adult survivors can access for free, low cost, or through insurance coverage, and peer-focused services, including support groups. With game-changing support from former Colorado Attorney General Cynthia Kaufman, we procured a systems improvement project grant to begin building out a response to these findings. We established a state task force of leaders to co-create this response together. Their dedication has been incredible as we navigated the unforeseen challenges of COVID-19 and corresponding adjustments to our work and timeline. By the way, that same dedication has been shown by our staff, board, and contractor colleagues, and many community partners. Now, we knew that there were voices we had not heard from in our first needs assessment. So we conducted a culturally adapted version called the Many Voices Project in 2022, informed by a group of wisdom keeper leaders who are subject matter experts working in communities of color. We co-shared our findings with the current Colorado Attorney General, Phil Weiser, whose office partnered with us on our systems improvement grant. We learned that for adult survivors of color, there's a lack of trust with mainstream providers due to experiences of unconscious bias they experience primarily with white service providers. Language access, stigma, cost and availability of services are challenges that adult survivors of color face, along with distinct challenges when interacting with the justice system due to systemic oppression, racial discrimination, and community harm. WINGS is working to uplift these voices in our CSA-SAM efforts and year-round as we seek to transform our services to be culturally and linguistically responsive. We ask you to hold us accountable to these aims, and transparently, we seek investment and partnership to be able to implement them. As an organization, we are on a transformational journey to understand and dismantle white supremacy and systemic oppression as we broaden our understanding of the ideologies that have created collective harm so that we can be part of fostering collective healing. These efforts extend to survivors who experience additional marginalization because of the identities they hold, including sexual orientation, gender identity, socioeconomic status, and many other aspects of who they, i.e. you, i.e. we, who all of us are. At WINGS, we are a small yet growing team of leaders who care deeply about these issues. We are grateful for the dedicated support of so many of you, including our staff, board members, advisory council members, wisdom keeper leaders, community partners, and of course, all of you who are adult survivors and loved ones who we've been honored to support and walk alongside you in your journeys of healing. We could not do our work without our program and clinical team members and contractors, as well as our support group facilitators. These are the individuals who help create space to heal for adult survivors and loved ones on a weekly basis, and they are the heart and soul of our mission. We thank to all funding partners and donors at all levels who have boldly invested in this mission of building systems of support for adult survivors, combining in-depth health expertise with the healing power of community. Without you, we literally could not take up the space we are taking up to amplify this mission in the world. Thank you for your trust and your investment. Finally, we wish to thank all of you who are joining us today as we commemorate the 10th year of CSA-SAM and the 42nd year of WINGS. We thank all individuals who are part of our community near and far, and celebrate all organizations and leaders who are including a focus on adult survivors in your efforts. I really believe in my own journey and in this collective work together, it really comes down to each of us taking a stand that this issue matters in our lives. So thank you for making that stand. Let today be a milestone and a testament to what has been and a full claiming of what will be in our shared elevated work to come. We're not finished with our healing mission. We have a long way to go. Your partnership, your investment, your contribution of, as one wisdom keeper leader told us through that effort, your contribution of life force, energy with ours will fulfill the vision we seek of healthy lives, relationships, and communities for all. And before I turn this over, I just want to say a special thanks to our CSA-SAM team. Jocelyn, Becky, and Kelly specifically have been working really hard to elevate awareness of the issue this year in ways that you all can be proud to engage with. So thank you all for that creative heart work. And now I'll turn things over to Ashiro, who's been a big part of the last decade of legacy work that I've described as a board member, Dr. Donna Wilson.
Thank you, Jenny. Good afternoon. My name is Donna Wilson. I've been a licensed professional counselor in the state of Colorado for the last 24 years, and I'm also the nominating chair for the WINGS board. And I originally joined the WINGS board back in 2014 because as a former therapist, the mission of WINGS just resonated with my values and my stance around healing. I believe in creating spaces and communities so that people can heal, grow, and thrive. And with that being said, it is a pleasure to be able to read Governor Polis's proclamation for the month of September. Proclamation. Whereas childhood sexual abuse creates a massive public health issue by affecting 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys, and whereas most victims do not report their abuse in childhood and become adults who still need and deserve specialized services to help them heal. And whereas assessing these services is critical to health, well-being, relationship capacity, productivity, and ability to fully thrive in all areas of adult survivors' lives. And whereas accountability for appropriately supporting survivors must be a shared goal by families, organizations, workplaces, and committees everywhere, and that our state is healthier and stronger when we work collaboratively towards meeting this goal. And whereas Colorado supports the many dedicated people and organizations working together to connect all survivors and their loved ones with the resources they need to speak about, heal from, and thrive beyond childhood sexual abuse trauma for its individual and collective impact on public health. And whereas Colorado stands with survivors and their loved ones on their courageous path of healing towards empowerment of their fullest, healthiest lives, therefore, I, Jared Polis, Governor of the state of Colorado, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2024 as Childhood Sexual Abuse Survivor Awareness Month, CSA-SAM, in the state of Colorado, given under my hand at the executive seal of the state of Colorado this first day of September 2024. Signed, Governor Jared Polis.
Thank you so much, Dr. Donna Wilson, for being a part of our board and for reading the proclamation for us. I'm now going to invite Kelly to walk us through the different ways that you can participate in this cause.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I'm Kelly Connor, she, her pronouns. I'm Wing's new development manager, and I am based in Longmont, Colorado. I have the distinct pleasure today of sharing about some of the different ways you can get involved in CSA-SAM this month. The first thing that I really would love to draw your attention to is our CSA-SAM landing page. You probably, most of you have visited if you registered for this event, but we want to make sure you check out all the great resources that are on there. This page of our website contains a ton of resources, including a PDF of our CSA-SAM activity card, which I'll go over in a little bit more detail. There's also links to another event we have coming up later this month, a media kit, where you can download this lovely Zoom background, and a reading list, statistics, and there are also a long list of documentaries and community organizations that are Colorado-based as well as national that we'd love for you to take a look at. The activity card, the CSA-SAM activity card is really the central place where you can get ideas for how to get involved this month and beyond. The card was developed by Wing staff and to offer ideas on how you can increase awareness and build momentum for this cause. We encourage you to complete 5 in a row, or if you're feeling ambitious, you could complete them all. It's really an invitation to choose your own adventure. Our hope is that through all of our collective action, we will create a world where more adult survivors feel comfortable reaching out for support and know healing is possible. So thank you for your engagement this month. If you didn't get an activity card in the mail, you can download a PDF off of the landing page, or you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to mail you one in the mail as long as with the accompanying materials as well. We have plenty of extras, so don't be shy. If you didn't get one, we probably just don't have a recent address for you. So we have plenty and would love to get one in your hands. Or if you have a colleague or friend who you think might want to participate, we would be happy to send one to them as well. So you'll see on the activity card that there are several invitations for you to interact with us throughout the month and to send us photos. I just want to note that those can be emailed to events@wingsfound.org. On the back of the activity card, you'll also find an invitation to engage in grounding, as well as some information about how you can help resource this cause. So again, all of that is accessible on the PDF version of the activity card online. But speaking of resourcing this cause, we'd like to mention that every donation made to Wings this September will be matched dollar for dollar up to $15,000, thanks to the generosity of Lisa Levin Apple. As a survivor and Wings support group graduate, Lisa knows the courage it takes to speak about and heal from CSA trauma. She would like to dedicate this matching gift to Marilyn Vanderbilt Adler and to the strength of all survivors of CSA. And to those of you who donated when you registered for this event or have given in response to one of our emails or our mailer, thank you. Your gifts will be applied towards that match. So thanks for taking advantage of that and having a greater impact for survivors. As part of our commitment to community-centric fundraising principles, we'd also like to encourage you to consider donating to or following some of the community organizations that were listed on the landing page. There's lots of them, so plenty to explore and find someone who matches with your interest. But they too are doing important work that benefits all adult survivors, both directly and indirectly. So we want to uplift and encourage you to support them this month as well. I think that's all I have, so I will turn it back to Jocelyn. So thank you, and I hope to get some emails and to be able to send you a nice little packet in the mail.
Thanks, Kelly. So now I'd like to take the next couple of minutes to invite some of the Wings staff to share out an item from the activity card that they're excited about. So I think Becky will be putting in a link to the activity card if we weren't able to mail you one, but you are able to access it digitally. So hopefully you can see my screen. Okay, I guess not. So on the activity card, one thing that I'm excited for is signing up for a community partners email list. Specifically looking into learning how a national organization like Mere Memoirs is addressing CSA. And then there's also a local program in the state of Colorado called Sacred Cycling. And their website says they offer affordable counseling for survivors of sexual trauma through mountain biking. So there's just a combination of things that I think are really interesting with this particular activity. One is that this is a national issue, and so there are really different approaches that a lot of organizations are taking. It's always really interesting to learn about those. And we're really trying to emphasize, I think, with this campaign, not just Wings, but also just how this cause affects all of us, whether or not you are part of the victim service world, you're a survivor or a loved one, a service provider. So lots of different ways to get involved and engaged. And so one way that I'm going to look into that is by researching different community organizations. So now I'm going to invite the Wings staff. I'll have Becky, Posha, Jen, and Alex in that order. Feel free to share your name and your title and what activity you're excited about. And as we go along through the different activities, I would love to hear from the audience as well. If you're able to access the activity card, which one you're excited about, and feel free to share that in the chat. So I'll hand it off to you, Becky.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Hi, everyone. So excited to see so many wonderful faces. I am our communications coordinator. I actually reside in Michigan. So I'm on the Eastern time zone, and I do all of our social media, design, communications type work. This month, I'm so excited for all the activities, but the one I'm going to be sharing about are our survivors and allies cards. I think you can no, dang Zoom backgrounds. Hold on one second. I'm going to take mine off. Give me a minute. Okay. I lied. I'm not going to take it off. Okay. You can get virtual versions of these online as well if you're interested. Basically, they are a great discreet way of getting folks involved with the cause, whether it be teaching them how to better interact with someone that might disclose to them, or whether it's giving folks our information in a discreet way as well. It is helpful because it helps folks develop some statements that they can say in the moment when someone discloses to you. And it's something that's just like easy to fit in your wallet. So you can super easily be able to pass these to folks or keep them on hand if you're interested, especially for a lot of us folks that work in this community. You know, we might be working with adult survivors every day and we don't even realize it. So it's a good way to have some advocacy work and things like that on you. So that's something I'm excited about, just to get these cards out into the world and get more folks having them so that we can help work towards getting this issue more spoken about and helping people feel comfortable speaking about it. So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about. And I'm going to pass it on over, I think, to Posha.
Hi, everyone. I am Posha Zubair, she, her. I'm the clinical manager for Survivor Services here at Wings. And a couple of things that I want to speak about that you can do during this time. One is to grab one of our brochures, which are also available in electronic form as a PDF, but and really just kind of put this up almost everywhere, right? We know that survivors are absolutely everywhere. So I can hardly think of a place that it wouldn't make sense to put one of these up, just so that people know about us and know that Wings is a resource. I think that, you know, there's just so few people really know that there is a resource out there for you. You know, if you are dealing with this issue, and some people will resonate more with, you know, just with what we do, as opposed to, you know, sometimes, you know, like the words sexual assault, or, you know, people will resonate differently with different kinds of words. And so putting this out there, even though, you know, they might have heard of another organization that works with similar, you know, similarly works with survivors, knowing that we're out here and that we provide support groups is really important. So yeah, so just really putting this up everywhere. I have a plan to do that, just kind of keep them in my bag for the month and put them up anywhere that I can that allows that. And then the other thing that I'm excited to do, even though I'm not the best at social media stuff, is to post on my socials about this, partly because I'm just so excited about the work that I do here. I'm so proud of the work that I do. Well, the fact that I'm part of the work that we do at Wings. And I'm kind of tend to be quiet and private on social media. So not that many people in my life might know about it. So not only am I excited to brag about what we're doing and my involvement with it, but also, like, you just never know who you know in your life who might need this information and might really need to know that this resource exists. So those are a couple of the ways that I hope to honor this month. And I'm going to hold myself to that, especially because, like I said, I tend to be more shy on social media. So I'm going to make myself do it. And I already posted on LinkedIn today, which is really easy to do. If you just go to our Wings page, we have a post up about CSA-SAM, and you can just repost it in one click. Pretty easy. Thank you.
That's awesome, Posha. Thank you so much. My name is Jen. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the finance and grants manager at Wings. I'm actually located in California. I'm right outside of Los Angeles. And the thing I'm most excited about really is the sticker. I'm a sticker girl. And so I shall be immediately, as soon as this call is over, putting this on my water bottle so that I'll have it with me as I'm out in the neighborhoods. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks. Would anyone like to quickly come off mute and share what activity you'll be doing or any questions you may have? Ellen said, I will post to social media that it's CSA month. I tend to donate during Colorado Gives. Thank you, Ellen. Yeah, anybody else?
Hi, my name's Katrine. I'll be lighting candle for all the survivors and or children victims, especially children who are going through it right now. And I do a lot of travel with my work, so I was wondering if there's a support group on Zoom or online with Wings.
I can jump in. We do have most of our support groups are virtual. However, in order to participate, you have to be located in Colorado at the time. It's a licensing regulatory requirement.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Katrine. Yeah, for those of you who maybe haven't seen the activity card, there's a square that says light a candle in honor of all adult survivors of CSA. I think Katrine extended it to current child survivors, so thank you so much for that. Anybody else like to share? Oh, thanks for sharing the activity card on the screen, Kelly. Yeah. Okay.
I would love to share information about Wings on my social media sites. I really love the work you are doing. And there's wonderful long history here that I won't go into, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. I think the power of social media, if we really tap into it, could be used for so much good. So I really love how there's a lot of people on the call interested in using that. I'm not on social media either too much, but I'll try to push myself out there a little bit more. Maybe I'll create a TikTok or post something on Facebook, which reminds me, if you are going to be sharing on social media, we do have a hashtag that we would like for you to use. You could use either hashtag CSA-SAM, hashtag healing happens in community, hashtag space to heal. That way we can track and see and then repost on our pages as well what you all are doing. Amber said, I plan on watching a documentary and sharing resources with my partner. I love that. I also plan to do that. And I think I'm going to be needing a lot of self-care after watching a lot of these documentaries. So we do also have some resources for ways that, if you're needing it after watching some of these powerful and impactful documentaries about CSA and CSA survivors and their stories. If you need some resources to nourish yourself, soothe yourself, we do have those online. And then there's just this practical one that we have on screen. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 method. But yeah, I'm really excited to check out the list of documentaries as well. Thank you for sharing that.
Jocelyn, I'll just share one of the ones I'm excited about, which is our reading list. We really came up with it was pretty cool to see how many different memoirs and stories there are from CSA survivors. And so one of the ideas on here is to share this reading list with your library. And I always I love my local library. So I'll be taking in the list and seeing if they have them in stock and then seeing if they can order in some of these books. We have, including Wings alumna who's going to be speaking later this month. Her book, Beautiful Badass, is on the list. And so I'm hoping to make sure our library carries her book. And so yeah, I'm really excited. And again, if you want a physical bookmark, happy to send you one. But I think that reading list is kind of there's a lot of different ideas on there. And if you have one that we haven't heard of, please email us that too. We're always expanding our resource list.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kelly. Yeah, one book that I recommended was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I read that when I was a lot younger, and so I think when I was in college. It was really powerful. So I'm excited to check out the other books that folks have recommended, and really encourage you all, if you have any recommendations to add on there, feel free to send them over, especially if you have knowledge of a book by a male survivor, BIPOC survivor. That would be really great to add to our list. Anybody else? want to share? Okay. Well, before we close the program out, I would just like to extend a special invitation for an upcoming program that we have. So on September 28th, we'll be having our first Adult Survivor series. And it's called Adult Survivors Share with Krista Bear. She was, well, let me explain a little bit about the series. So this is a new community offering where adult survivors of child sexual abuse share their personal journey of healing and resilience. During this inaugural and virtual event, you'll be able to hear from our first guest speaker, Krista Bear, who was a Wings alum who participated in a Wings support group in the late 90s. So we're hoping to continue this series quarterly. This is on a Saturday morning on starting September 28th, 10 to 11:30 Mountain Standard Time. I don't know if we have the slide to show you all the invitation, but if not, you can access that information online and register for that event. That event will be a lot more, I think, more discussion based, more engaging, and you'll be able to, participate in a dialogue with our first guest speaker. And then on October 26th, we'll also be having our Speak Out event. That is also on a Saturday. But since that is in October, it's a little more ways out. So not, but we'll have that information on our website as well. All right. Well, does anybody else have any questions or comments before we close out the program?
Jocelyn, I was just going to share, if that's okay, an activity.
Yeah.
Well, I just am so excited about all the ways that folks are wanting to engage in fundraising, awareness raising for this issue, because I think we all know like it's really needed. And so I'm excited to see how that goes and would love for you all to share that back with us so we can share what you're sharing. And I guess I just wanted to speak into the space that for anyone that is an adult survivor that's, on the healing journey, that it's also part of the month to just be present to yourself, to your own process, to know that you're not alone, and whatever that looks like for you is perfect. And I'm just like knowing, like for myself, that's looked different over the 11 years I've been at Wings. And these days it's more, I'm more interested in my somatic experience. I'm doing more things for my somatic healing. But I just wanted to acknowledge that for some survivors, not everyone wants to be public about this all the time. And that if this season is a more private season for you, where you're just tuning into yourself and doing the work you need to do or want to do to heal, that's perfect too. We don't want you to feel that you have to do something you're not personally in the space to do in this season. So yeah, I just wanted to offer that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Jenny, for inviting that to just being present with yourself. If you are a survivor, there are lots of different ways to engage in this cause that don't necessarily have to be what we put on the activity card. And we'd love to hear that too, what you did during the month to honor your story and your resilience. All right. Well, thank you all so much again for letting us borrow some of your time this afternoon, especially after, Labor Day weekend. We really appreciate it. Feel free to reach out with any questions or comments or ideas. We are all ears, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.